on VegasAllNightRadio.com, where we are talking about sending shit to Alaska because we feel bad for these Alaskan kids who have nothing
Right?
and yet are probably way happier than we are.
Probably.
Their biggest like joy in life is taking your pee bucket out for you.
I would love
Yeah.
to send them some stuff. I like that too
Read
because
the blog
I
first, and
will
then
read the
you'll
blog.
you'll feel it. You'll feel
Well,
it from the
I
heart.
like
Mm-hmm.
doing stuff for kids, especially since I grew up in foster care. So I have a really um, big place, for kids. I don't
Mhm.
think the Alaska kids would probably see themselves as underprivileged because
Mm-mm.
No, they
that's
don't.
how
They
they
don't know
live.
otherwise.
But I I love dealing with kids, but I can't do things because I for like kid not that I can't do things for kids in foster care, but the foster care system is so fucked up and that whole system
And the
is
liberals are
so
only making it
damaged
worse.
that even when you donate things to the foster kids, they don't always make it to the foster kids. Like
Right. Right.
there's just so much shit. Like it upsets me and I struggle being a part of it, because I don't want to support the fucked upness,
Mm-hmm.
Though I would love to work directly with the kids and support the children and do something with the children. I mean, part of our
There's
nonprofit that we were working on, I want to have like an after school program for the kids where they can come and work with animals and I we can take them maybe to the shelters and they can, you know, do projects. Like I want to work with the kids, but it I have such a temper that I would probably like I could fucking kill some of these foster like parents and the caseworkers, and I mean it's a problem all the way up to judges and beyond. It just there's so
I used
much
to
problem.
one of the things we've talked about here is that I've always wanted to adopt children through the foster child program, but I used to be a literacy tutor for foster kids when I lived in California.
Hmm.
And you see a lot of different, you see some that the families are very genuine.
Hmm.
They genuinely, want the children for the children. And unfortunately, you see the other ones that it's a money thing,
Yeah, it's a
Form
paycheck.
and
of income.
the paycheck and they get as many as they can. And whether they bring that kid to tutoring or not, they could care less. They have 7 other kids to kind of keep an eye on and manage. And,
And they don't
it
really like.
doesn't,
I mean, when I was growing up, I mean, I was out at all times of night. Like I'd be out all night sometimes, and nobody'd ever notice.
mhm,
Nobody'd even know that I wasn't there. Like it's not like they check on you or they put out some of them like just put out dinner, and the theory is that you eat or you don't eat, it doesn't matter, but they've done their
If
obligation
I
and fed you.
if I fostered kids, I'd foster a ton of kids, but I would operate it like a little mini boot camp. Like there'd be like 4 bunks to a room. This is your trunk. Keep everything neat and tidy. This is
Essentially, you'd have a
breakfast.
group
This is
home.
lunch. This is dinner.
yeah, that's a home.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah. That doesn't
except
quite
that
work that way.
except that it wouldn't be the I don't care about you. They'd be more like, God, I just wish she'd leave me the fuck alone for a little while. Be like, homework is from this time to this time, and it will be done. And if it is not done, there are additional chores for people to do.
Yeah, no,
Like,
that doesn't always work good.
No.
But the thing
And
is
when
that
they're older, you do get a lot, that when they're older, they have, not all, but they know how the system works and they
and they know
know
how to
what
work
they
it
can
and
say and
to manipulate it.
they will work it to
And
which
manipulate
is
if
it.
why I
they
can't
get
be
So,
a
upset
foster
with you,
parent.
they're like, "I'll just call my caseworker." Like they're
right.
ridiculous.
If you try and, we're going to establish this curfew, they
Yeah, because each kid
absolutely.
has, the thing is that people that have multiple kids, nobody should have multiple kids, but there's not enough families to have one kid
Right.
to a home. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I get that people have multiple kids. The the thing with foster kids and kids that have been damaged is that they all have different issues. And so you can't treat them all the same.
Right.
And that also becomes a problem. And then there's the issue if you have your own kids and foster kids. The
Right.
foster kids get jealous because of the way of the relationship you have with your own children. And it's not that they are jealous that you're good to your own child. It's that they wish their parents would be good to them. Like
Right.
there's all these issues, and kids that grow up like I did have a lot of emotional issues, so they don't know how to. They don't have the coping skills to deal with those kind of They don't know why they feel this way. They don't
Mhm.
understand that it's because they're jealous or whatever. They just know they're angry
Mm-hmm.
and they lash out. Like, so there's so many issues that encompass that people that have, multiple kids or whatever, or they have a lot of their own kids and take one foster kid or whatever, you know, it, people have, some people, like you said, have a good heart and a good, like they have good intentions,
Mhm.
but they go about it the wrong way because I just don't think that people really realize that, these are damaged children that come from a damaged place, and not everybody's issues. You can't, that's why I hated going to therapy when I was younger, because they always stuck me in with this fucking cookie cutter um psychobabble psychologist that has never like grew up in, upper class wherever with, two parents and a whole family, and like never had any real issues of
They've
their
read
own.
books about you, though.
They have read books. Yes. Yes. I was in a study one time, and
Mhm.
and so said this, but they don't have any real knowledge. Like, you can kind of understand the concept of why somebody feels a certain way, but until you actually have experienced that emotion, you will never understand.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
And
just like if somebody, like a child dies, if you have a child that's died, right? Nobody, you can comprehend of how sad and horrific that could be. But unless you've had a child that has died and experienced that emotion and
You
that pain
don't
and
know
that
what it's
loss,
like.
yeah.
you will never understand. And it's the same thing with damaged children. And, every, child has a different way that they deal with it. Some are super quiet and, self-harmful. I was that kind of kid for a while. I was also, as I got older, I was the kind of kid that lashed out. Like,
Mhm.
there's all kinds of different ways that kids cope with things.
You just
And
have to take each kid as they come.
yeah, but it really is. I mean, I don't think that people realize the kind of commitment it is. I mean, it's a big commitment if you really want to make a difference, you know? And people do. I mean, people do make a difference. That's the thing, especially about me. Have been in my life four very specific people that were actually pretty much strangers. Like, to this day, I don't remember their names or who they were, but there are four people in my life that essentially, there were four acts of random kindness that changed and developed who I am as a person. And I will never be able to thank them or never be able to, go back and find them to say, you did this for me and it formed me in this kind of way. And, but they were just four people, different people at different points in my life. One was just a guy, a completely random stranger who went into a shopping center in Portland, Oregon in the middle of a snowstorm, bought out all of the coats, the gloves, the scarves, the sweaters, and the whole entire mall. Had all of the people, all the staff, bringing them all out to the courtyard where the homeless kids, oh, because, for a year or so I was homeless, and gave us all, like, we would have all pretty much froze to death. We were all, like, hovered around these big fire pits, but he gave us all gloves and scarves and sweaters, and he didn't know any of us. And he just walked in there, bought all that stuff, gave it all away, and left,
Mm.
and didn't ask for anything in return. I will never, ever, ever in my life forget that because I was a runaway and I had dyed my hair in this underground shelter and it was wet and I couldn't get it froze at one point and then I couldn't get it to ever dry and it kept thawing and dripping and my clothes were wet and had hair dye all over it. And so I legitimately needed these clothes that he gave me. And it was a big deal and I'll never, ever, ever in my life forget that. Ever.
But what you can do is pass that on,
I do.
pay it
Yeah.
forward.
It's one of the things that makes it important for me to work with charities and to have a charity and to help people. And I have a huge passion for it. It's like what I want to do. But it's expensive to run a
It
charity,
is very expensive to run a
ironically.
charity.
Like, so I have to find ways to make money to support my habit of charity. Like,
Could be worse, could be crack.
right. True story. I guess there are worse habits to have. So,
So, do you want to talk about your suicide hotline experience this week, Ch?
I do. Since it's Yeah,
Yeah.
let's.
How about that?
Y- Toxie sounds all reluctant, but the last two times we've taken a break, she's like, "We
I
gotta
gotta
talk
talk
about
about that.
this." But now let's put you on the spot.
I know, I
Suicide.
know.
I had a friend very recently commit suicide, and so I am a big proponent of when someone says they're going to do something like this, you should take every measure possible to help them, to keep
Right.
them from doing this, because although I often state to the otherwise, no life is a wasted life, and so you need to help your friends. And if you don't know the signs of someone who's contemplating suicide, I really suggest you hit any of the websites about suicide prevention and read the early warning signs and keep an eye on your friends. One of the biggest warning signs is when they say, "I'm going to commit suicide."
That's a little bit of a indicator.
That's a little bit of an indicator.
One of the things they asked. Well, just to share, we shared recently a little sh- story on the show how I was approached in the club by a gentleman who, uh,
We're going to call him Creeper.
quite honest, made me a little uncomfortable. And
Mm.
just to kind of sum up what he said, basically he said he would like to lock me in his house so he can listen to me scream.
Not in the good kind of spanking my ass way either.
Not really. There was no indication that it was a pleasure scream. It was that he would like to just keep me there and listen to me scream. So this gentleman, and I know he listens, so I hope he hears the whole thing. So he has an understanding of exactly what he ultimately did to another human here. But he reached out to me via Facebook, and he was messaging me that basically he started out just wanting to know if he's a bad person. And so I was I'm a firm believer in being honest. And I said, no, I don't feel you're a bad person. I do feel, however, at a club, you need to tailor your approach. You need to have a little bit of a softer approach, introduce yourself to a woman, maybe compliment her, just be genuine, but maybe soften it a little.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't like that as much. And bottom line, he said that women are overrated, like myself. So I let him know I'm sorry he feels that way. However, he asked me a question and I gave him an honest answer.
Yeah.
Very nice about it, but he led into that he's so depressed now he has to do something horrible for everyone to see. So I from there went into what do you mean? Specifically, and from there he specifically told me that he's going to commit suicide. Um, I don't take that lightly either. I don't know this gentleman other than from a casual I've seen you in the club. You know me as Toxie. You're on my Toxie page. You've messaged me. You listen to our show. He's not a friend, but he's somebody who I felt, obviously he reached out to me and
Feel a bit of
this,
responsibility for him.
something that this was serious. So I tried to talk to him a little bit, but from there I encouraged him to call the suicide hotline. And so the reason I really wanted to talk about this on the show, and I'll share all of the follow up with you as well, but if anybody ever has to call the hotline, I'd love to share the experience so they know kind of what to expect. Just to give you everyone the number, so you have it, it's 800 273 8255, and that's the National Suicide Hotline. You do not have to only call that hotline if you are in the process or considering killing yourself. If you have a friend who you feel might harm themselves, you can absolutely call the hotline and they'll guide you as to how to handle this. So, upon calling, a woman answered, and she was very, very soft spoken, very kind of, her voice was very reassuring,
Very NPR.
very, yes. Somebody that I felt very comfortable talking to. And I explained the circumstance. I had to explain how, I'm a show host and I don't know him, as a personal friend, but here's what's going on. So she asked me a few questions and she kind of guided me as to know that if I were talking to him, here's what I would ask him. And if you're comfortable with it, if you can ask him some of these questions as well. And some of the questions were do you already have a plan in place? Do you have a time frame? There were some others that I didn't really get into, but there was do you already know how? Do you have an idea of, how you're going to do it? Are you in the
A
process
plan.
right now,
It's
as
yeah,
part
a
of the
plan.
plan? So she suggested, and so I asked him, via message, these questions, and just kind of reassured him I really want you to get the help that you need. And she gave me an alternate number to give, which I'll give as well. This one goes to Reno, but it's a direct number. It's 775-355-2306. Um, so anyway, should anybody ever have a friend or a loved one or somebody that they're concerned about, I absolutely encourage you to call here because they know what they're doing. I didn't get some automated press one if you're,
Thinking of hanging yourself, press 2 if
press
it's
two
a
if you have a
shotgun.
knife to your wrist, press three if it's a blade. None of that. It was very,
Right.
someone answered, someone was very reassuring. She understood, and then she told me what steps to take, and then at what point I should call the police. I went back and forth, now going back to this gentleman. I went back and forth with him. Are you getting my messages? Please just confirm with me that you're getting the numbers I'm giving you. I wish I could help you, but I can't. I'm not qualified. They are.
Mhm.
Please call these numbers. So he started responding that, just leave me alone. I can't do this anymore. I said, are you in trouble right now? And his reply led me to believe that yes. At first he said no, and then he's like, I have to go now. I can't. I said, do you have
I'm
any
done.
yeah, I'm done. Do you have any family I can call? I said, I need to call somebody. I said, because my next step is to call the police. Can you give me the name of a friend or family to call? And he's like, no, I'm going now. Now I'm gone. I'm gone. And so at that point, I kind of tossed it around a little bit because I had a few things going through my head. Number one, in calling the police, they're obviously going to know who made the call. He will know who made the call. Number two, if he is a little bit
Girl, psycho.
unstable, I didn't want him to come back at me. It was a very selfish reason, but I didn't want,
Any repercussions?
any
Right.
repercussions for it. But, after a while, I decided, all right, I'm going to do it. So I called the police, and first I called 311, and immediately they're like, no, no, you have to speak with emergency dispatch. So I called emergency dispatch. I explained everything, read them excerpts from the messages. So they saw that it was, an immediate need.
Right.
It was something serious. The woman at the suicide hotline suggested that I explain the whole, hosting the show and everything, so they don't think I'm just some girl, calling trying to get him in trouble. She said, give yourself some authority there, or some I forget her exact word, but just so they know
Backstory.
that
Right.
the thank you,
Right.
so they know it's something serious
Legit,
and
not an
real.
ex-girlfriend trying to be
Right.
an asshole.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. And so I explained all of that. And this gentleman, when they asked me a lot of questions like, does he own a gun? And I kept saying, I don't know him in that context. I
Right.
have no idea. Does he do drugs? I don't know him in that context. I have no idea. So they did ask me a lot of different questions. Do you have his address? Guess what?
He put it on
I
Facebook.
did. He put it on Facebook.
That's why you don't put your address on Facebook, people. Commit suicide in private.
Right.
So,
Or
but if just for
Don't do
anybody
that.
out there, if you do have a friend that you don't have their address and it is a dire situation, check their Facebook because some people tend to post it on there.
Mhm.
His birth date, his description,
Phone number.
everything that was needed was on Facebook. So I explained to them again,
Gonna have to really look at my Facebook again.
you should, but that's how they went to
Check
him.
your
So they
privacy
said,
settings.
um, great. They said you can call. At first, they had taken the report with my own personal information, and so they said he's going to have all of this information. I'm like, no, 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 no. I don't know him in that manner. He does not know me personally.
Right.
You can give him Toxie. And they understood and they went back and they fixed everything. I'm like, listen, I'm a mom. This is a very odd circumstance. I don't know him. So they said call back in an hour and we'll give you we already have somebody doing a well check. They're on their way. So 1 hour, like to the dot, I call back and I give them the case number. And they said we connected with him. He answered the door And he explained that he was not suicidal, that he was having some issues with an ex-girlfriend, and that he was just kidding, and he was just saying stuff to try and get her back, but just also, to get
Attention.
attention. Bottom line, to get attention.
So he was referring to you as the
He
ex-girlfriend?
was, which I was very clear with them that, again, I don't know this gentleman. And I went back and explained one more time. I host a radio show. He is a listener whom I also have happened to bump into in a club on occasion. I don't know him personally. I'm not an ex-girlfriend. I also think he was trying to say that he was posting it out on Facebook for everyone to see. Well, it wasn't. It was in private message to me. So moments after, he did post on his Facebook like, "I'm so sorry, everybody, for my behavior. My meds are just kicking in late," something like that for everyone to see. But he had posted nothing prior to that. So I guess to maybe if they were to go back and check that this is what happened. So the bottom
Or
line
maybe you weren't
is
the only one that he was messaging like that.
maybe.
Maybe.
But I've had others, in sharing this, I had another say that I'm not the first person. He's done this too.
Right.
That he, it is an attention thing. And so if he is listening, I'd like to share two things with him. First off, I'm a human. And so I don't appreciate it. If somebody was really in need, absolutely. I mean, obviously, I think I've shown I will do what I can to help somebody, but in this case, he was fucking around with me, and he was doing it to get my attention, and he did, and probably not in the way that he wanted to get my attention. What it's going to do now, as another human, the next time somebody does the same thing, automatically my first thought is going to be,
Are they just fucking with
are they
me?
just fucking with me to get attention? So now you possibly could put someone else's life at jeopardy because it's not going to be my first thought, oh, I really need to help this person.
Yeah, now you have are
The
they crying
doubt.
wolf?
Right,
Yeah.
right. So now I'm a little bit, jaded in those regards. But aside from that, if it was purely for attention, that's a fucking shitty thing to do.
Yeah, it
Bottom
is.
line, that is a fucking shitty thing to do. I have made no, I've never hidden the fact that I'm a sensitive individual, and so I didn't take it lightly. And so it had really, upset me, and I felt really bad for him to the point where having his address, I mean, I thought to the point, my God, should I go there?
No, no,
Well,
no.
obviously,
Right? No, no,
obviously
never do
not.
that.
But I've never been through it before, so I didn't know kind of what to do. So I'm glad I called the suicide hotline. I'm glad they helped share the steps. I encourage anybody in the same circumstance to do the same thing. But if you're some fucker just trying to get attention, that's not the way. That's absolutely not the way.
No, buying us
Um,
diamonds is the way to get attention.
or just being a decent human being and not
A shithole.
fucking doing something like that for attention. There are how many people out there that commit suicide every day. This isn't something you fucking joke around about.
No, it's not.
It absolutely is not. And it just kills me that he did that to another human. And maybe he's still troubled, and maybe he really was. And if he was, then I genuinely wish he would have, when the police came, said, yes, I'm having these thoughts. I need help. Because all the help was provided to him. I gave him numbers. I literally put someone on his doorstep who could help him. At that point, he has to, be willing to accept the help. But if it really was just for the purpose of trying to
Garnering
get
attention.
attention, then fuck you. That's all. Fuck
Okay.
you.
No.
Because that's
And honestly, as much as we love our listeners, this is a case in point where we're going to tell this particular listener, please don't approach us anymore.
yeah, that's it.
We're kind of done with you. And I am the kind of person who would want to put his actual name out there so that everybody knows what he's like, because I believe in, forewarning. I believe, like nut and butter. We forewarned a lot of people about nut and butter. Look, he ain't gonna have sex with you, he's just gonna rub your ass and jack off. We've never given his name out in public unless somebody comes and asks us, and then we're like, yeah, yeah, it's that guy there. He's just gonna rub your ass and jack off. I'm really at the point where I would take we won't do it. But I would, if it were left in my very angry hands, I would put him on blast on every social media account we've got.
Well,
And
here's my take on this. I actually have had issues with the same person. Mostly, he doesn't respect my personal space.
Right.
Um, and so I just avoid him. But I think that he is a troubled individual. I think that he has some mental issues. I think that there's something there. I mean, obviously, if he said his meds haven't kicked in, he's obviously on meds. But I think he's probably got a diagnosis of some sort. Um, so,
And
and
I
here's the thing about this too. I've experienced suicide. I myself suffer from compulsive suicidal thoughts. I don't shy away from the fact that I've been diagnosed with severe depression and all that business since my first diagnosis, my first, I was on Prozac at 12. I died for the first time. Well, I died when I was 12 from a drug overdose. Um, I have a lot of issues and a lot of experience with this specific topic. And I don't shy away from talking about my depression issues because most people that suffer from depression suffer in
silently.
silence.
Mhm.
And that's why depression is such a horrible, nasty cycle. Um, you feel bad about yourself, so it makes you more down. The more down you feel, the more horrible about yourself you feel. It's a really nasty, nasty cycle. And it's one of those things that people feel shame about. Now, what I would hate to have happen is that, this person does have some, and I appreciate your feelings and I appreciate everybody's feelings and I respect them. But if this person is listening and does have some, issues, I would hope that,
Seek
he
out the
wouldn't
help.
take this moment to say, oh, well, this is why I've killed myself now because, they're talking about me, they put me out there, and I really am a piece of shit. And, don't use this as an excuse to, be like, ha, I showed you, you
Use
know.
it as an excuse to get the help you need.
Exactly. Use it
Mhm.
as an excuse to
See,
understand what your impact on somebody else is, because we all touch each other. I shouldn't use that word. We all affect each other, and in a certain way, and your actions, affect other people, and you have to realize that. I mean, even personal boundary spaces. Like I have personal space issues. I don't like people that I don't know in my personal space. You have to respect other people's boundaries.
just because I have my face in her boobs does not
Right.
mean you get to put your face in her
Exactly.
boobs.
You
Mhm.
don't know me like that. But don't, you know, understand what this issue is really about. It's about your effect on another human being. Your actions affected Toxie. So don't take it as a, now you feel bad and now you're a piece of shit, so now you're really going to do it and show everybody. Just use this moment to realize that your actions have effects.
Your actions cause the same feelings that you have inside in somebody else.
Right.
You've caused someone to feel inferior, unable to cope, angry, sad, depressed all at the same time through your
Actions.
actions, and you have to take responsibility for those actions. And note that if you have a problem, you need to get help for that problem. The problem will not go away on its own. You're not going to wake up one morning and go, gee, I'm all better today.
Yeah.
Let's go have
Yeah.
some ice cream.
It doesn't work like that.
No, it does not work like that at
And
all.
And it
but the solution to the problem is not what he's been doing.
No,
no, no.
Because this is not from what I understand from another individual, and I only have the one experience, but what I understand from somebody else, he's um, done the same thing to multiple women and told them the same thing,
Right.
again for attention. That's not the best way. It goes back to the original reason I even brought it up or talked about him on the radio the first time. Again, not using his name at any point in time, but he needs to be
Well, it
aware that
needs to
he has to
be
approach people different.
at this point he shouldn't approach anyone. accept professional help, because
Right.
he needs to obviously learn how to he has an issue interacting with people. So he needs to learn before anything, how to interact with people. And there's, just like we all know, and when we're in our right mind,
And not
that
drunk.
well, that there are appropriate situations, like it's appropriate to talk to certain people about certain things, and what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. Some people's boundaries are skewed when they have mental issues and they don't understand what's appropriate and what's not appropriate.
Mhm.
I think that at this point, that person should be directed to professional help immediately. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, this
Which
isn't
he has
something,
been, just
right?
to share.
This isn't
Which
something
he
that you
has
could
been.
ever help him with, or anybody, that
He has to.
he has to seek professional help. And no, I mean, that's a huge burden. Mental illness is a huge burden for friends or for associates, because most people are not educated, when it comes to mental illness. They don't know how to deal with it. It's like, I always tell people that it's like arguing with a drunk person.
Mm-hmm.
You will never have a solution. There will never be resolve.
Mhm.
It's just, nothing will ever make sense. It'll all be a mess. And it just makes it worse. There's people that are educated in how to deal with mental illness. And if you don't know the steps or know how to communicate with a person with mental illness, you could just make the situation worse. So don't even attempt it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if somebody has that if for everybody who's listening, if anybody ever comes to you and is talking crazy, or you notice something off in them, or they say something, crazy, just evade. Don't interact, don't engage, because it will just get worse.
You'll either
Like,
fuel their fire or they're gonna fuel yours, one
right.
or the other.
And there's
Well, we
nothing
don't.
that
I
you can
consider it
do.
lesson learned because
Right.
we won't be interacting. I won't interact with him at the club. As I've always been very nice to him, contrary to the fact that he has said many inappropriate things to me. And again, with the space issue, he's very comfortable coming up, putting his arms around me. That will not happen. It absolutely will not happen. And so those are my boundaries that I'm setting. That I
And did you
tried
block him?
to, yes, and I tried to be nice. I thought I could help. Obviously, I'm not the right one to do so. And so our interaction is officially done.
Well, it's a
And
good
that's it.
lesson. I mean, it's shitty, um, that you had to learn it this way, but it's a good lesson for anyone with that you might notice that has a mental illness,
Hmm.
because all mental illness roads kind of lead down the same destructive road. It's not, and it's not something, like I said, a regular person um, is capable of dealing with. You
So maybe moving forward, instead of worrying about the ladies at the club, maybe it's time for him to worry about himself
absolutely.
and get the help that he needs. And I do. I mean, I personally, and I have a, I won't call this person out, but I have a family member with mental illness that, very bipolar, and I do understand that. But again, going back to what I originally said, I still think what he did was shitty.
No,
So,
it
and I
absolutely
stand by
was.
that.
Yeah, if it's pattern of behavior, it's beyond seeking the attention because there's some severe depression issues in there. It is more of a mild psychopathic
Yeah, it's a mental
seeking of
illness. I
attention,
mean, it's
and there's nothing anyone can do
no,
about it.
it needs professional
He needs
attention.
to take that golden little pill every morning
Right.
and
No,
sometimes at night
absolutely.
too.
And the thing about
Well, the whole
people,
thing with him saying as well about, oh, my meds haven't kicked in yet, this conversation started the day before. And so he had started to say things the day before, and then the conversation carried into the next day. So it wasn't, unless that is a long ass pill and takes a long ass time to kick in,
yeah, no, he needs some new
um,
pills. Or a
you know.
combination of the
A nice
such.
big cocktail, big
Right.
handful of shit every morning
Right.
with your orange juice.
But it's not something that the average person can deal with. It's just not. I mean, that should have never been thrown on your plate. And that is a really, 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 like, inexcusable thing to do to somebody, especially when it comes to suicide, because suicide is a very, very serious thing. I mean, it runs in my family. I've I had a roommate in a group home. I found her in the tub. She'd slit her wrists. Like, suicide is a big deal, and it's there's no going back from it. It is a very final situation. There's no
And it
recovery
doesn't
from it. Like,
and it
it
doesn't
would
solve
always affect
anything.
you.
There's never been a case of suicide where someone said, "Wow, I'm really glad that person killed themselves. Now my life is better." Like,
Right?
you're killing yourself does not solve your problems. It creates more problems for everyone else.
For the living, right? It just
it is
adds
in my opinion,
problems.
suicide is the most selfish thing anyone can do.
It is very selfish, and I mean that's why people do it, because they're only thinking of their pain and their, like, I understand it better than most because I think about it every day. Maybe not um super in depth every day. Like, I don't think about a plan. Like, I don't go that far, but like it's always on my mind, like how to do it
It
or
would be
how
so
somebody.
easy just to go to bed
It
and
would.
never wake up
Or,
again.
but I
I
also
wouldn't have
think
to deal
about,
with this.
who would find me. I also think about how it would affect my daughter. I think about how it would affect Charles. I think about how it would affect my friends.
Your
Like,
dog, for God's sakes. Who's
right.
going to feed my dog if I'm
Right.
not here
Right.
to feed him?
You have to, it is a very selfish thing, because when you're in that kind of deep depression, that's all you can see. That's all you can think about is my pain, my struggle, my this, my that. I just need it to be over.
Hmm.
But the other thing to know is that most people that are suicidal don't say they're going to kill themselves.
Yeah.
Telling people, like just
I'm
random
going to
people that
commit
you're going to
suicide.
kill yourself is generally a sign of attention seeking. People that
You must have gotten attacked by the Ethiopians out there.
right. This is what I have to deal with.
Did you get invited onto the Ethiopian program?
I did.
Did you really?
No, I didn't. I was talking to one of the other DJs from one of the other.
He was talking to anybody else.
He's like, "Are you gonna ask me about my penis?" No. Let's talk. What's up?
Wait, let's have this
Pull that
conversation.
microphone closer. It's okay.
Okay.
I don't have the camera on you,
Okay,
so it's just a
Yeah.
It's
microphone.
just your voice. Your sexy voice.
whatever.
Just like the last time we had you in the show, it was via phone, I believe. So
Yeah, you were
Yeah.
on the phone with me.
yeah, when you sent us the everybody, I love everybody campaign with the
Mhm.
bracelets and everything, I think we interviewed you via phone.
Actually, this is a good transition into something more positive.
It is.
How's that campaign going? What's it called?
It's called the I Love Everybody campaign.
And what's it about?
It's an anti-size discrimination, anti-bullying campaign.
And how
Do you expect
spread
me
your,
to actually?
how do you spread your message?
Well, I haven't actually done it.
I'm sorry.
Hmm.
Jesus, spread your
I
message.
know.
And the IQ of the show just went down to 13-year-old. She said spread.
That is, now we're talking my
I
language.
know,
Now
right?
I'm in. I'm in.
Now Doxy's on board.
We're done at the serious real talk. I'm in. What?
Right.
Penises? What?
Spreading.
Fart jokes? Spreading? I'm in.
Initially, I had bracelets made up, and I would target local entertainers who I worked with, who I shot videos for, and I would get them to wear the bracelets and kind of just do a positive message on Facebook. And then I moved out here. I got kind of busy, so now Desiree and I are starting it back up, and um, we're launching by creating a picture campaign.
Photogs.
Yes.
Nice.
Do you want me to help
No.
explain?
Oh, absolutely.
I will help explain about this because it is
And
important that
everything
everybody
else.
understands. No, you will speak again.
As a matter of fact, she and I are going to get together later, and I'm going to give her a list of shows to contact to get on.
Right, to get you on. So the I Love Everybody campaign. Actually, this isn't just a plus size, a plus size body positive campaign. It targets every body type, because there's shaming in every body type,
There's
whether you're
thin
skinny,
shaming, fat
yeah,
shaming.
tall, short, like there's shaming in all body categories. And so this is really a targeted to every, and our Twitter, our hashtag for the campaign is "Don't Shame, It's Lame."
Oh, that's so cute.
And the idea came actually for the photo campaign came from the No Hate campaign. That is the LGBT campaign of like gay positivity or whatever.
No more gay bashing.
Right, no gay bashing. Which I personally love. I love that campaign. It was one of my favorite things ever. And Adam Buska, which is the photographer, is now internationally known, and he goes all over the world and does photo sessions, essentially just with people, celebrities, regular people, everybody supporting the No Hate campaign. And so we want to do something similar with body positivity. And how our campaign will start out is with opposites attract is our kind of our theme, and it's going to be super fit males, like talking like
GQ
Chippendales,
magazine.
yeah, GQ. I mean, we want Matthew McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey, hey.
Yeah, hi. Like Channing Tatum, all that with
Just so you know, I'm on board for this.
Okay. Where do I sign up? But with those kind of guys, with plus size women,
very unfortunate women.
all all women. I find because here's the deal: nobody should judge people, and especially in relationships, based on their looks, because there's so much more involved in a relationship than how you look. I mean, of course, people have to be attracted to each other, physically, and who says a super hot guy can't be attracted to a fat chick?
I've got a super hot guy
right?
totally attracted to me.
So do I. So, the thing is it's okay to be attracted to who you're attracted to. And that's another thing.
That.
You shouldn't be ashamed or be shamed for that either.
Right. So many guys. I've met so many men who are like, I really like fat girls. Like they will date you online, but they never want to introduce you to your friends. They never want to take you out, where you might be seen by people mutually. They love fat girls. They are attracted to them. They enjoy being around them, but they can't be in a relationship with them because their family, their friends, everyone will.
I knew a guy who literally told me that he would rather tell his mom that he was gay than bring a fat girl home to his mom. I was like, really?
And the funny thing about that is a lot of these guys' friends actually, secretly like big girls. Yeah, exactly.
But the other part of that is it won't just be super hot guys with fat girls. It'll also be super hot girls with big guys, like, and everybody opposite. The whole thing is that opposites
like Kevin Smith
attract.
and his wife. She's a fucking hottie, and he not so much.
Right.
Although I think Kevin Smith is hot, but that's just my nerd side.
Well, will you also encompass like guy and guy, girl and girl?
Oh, absolutely.
As well.
Oh yeah, totally. Because I'm all about
those super skinny, adorable little metrosexual boys with their great big hair.
Bear.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I
At
love
the bear
that.
convention.
Forget about it. Yes, I'm all on it. Yeah, no, I'm absolutely all about same sex. I also, think that age differences are also important. Like I think a lot of things. This campaign, we see this campaign being huge. No pun intended. But something that every person on Earth can relate to. Something that we can take globally and really make the No Hate campaign made a big impact on the gay movement, and we want this to have a big impact on the body positivity movement. So
I agree. And I love the Everybody campaign. When we got our little press release and all our little wristbands, I was like, oh, this is awesome. Because I love that.
Great.
I love everybody. It's not just everybody in the world. It's everybody that exists. So I love that play on words. I think that was great.
He's a pretty clever guy.
Well,
So do
thank
you need anybody to pose naked with like this Matthew McConaughey type guy?
Yeah, because
I'm just
I like how she
wondering.
just throws out naked.
Right.
Does anybody need to be naked?
I'll be naked with Matthew McConaughey, Channing Tatum. Get some Brad Pitt all up in that shit too. Can you get some Vin Diesel?
Vin
Vin
I'll
Diesel.
try. I mean,
He'll do it. I
yeah.
know he would.
I mean, shit. Worst he could say is nope.
That's right.
So we can always ask. But yeah, I'd love to get as many, male celebrity, especially the guys that like girls all, over. Love to get
What do
those
they do
guys.
again?
Their
Oh,
vaginas,
don't be gross.
their vaginas weep. All right,
I
we're
can't
gonna
even do it.
we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be back after these messages from our friends.
Obviously.